Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Fiction Game, a tabletop role-playing game variety stream. Not really stream anymore, we just post it to YouTube, but it's still great, and I like it. I'm Jack, I'm your host and narrator, as always, and with me today, playing their various characters are Tom in the role of Grayson, Miles in the role of William, Hayden in the role of Alberth, and Sam in the role of Merigold. It's been a while, but to recap the most important, or at least final events of of the last episode that was published, there was a lot of downtime. We're waiting for some demon hunters to arrive in the city, and in the meantime, the various members of the party had leave to pursue their own goals within the capital at their discretion, while there's some downtime before the big quest to hunt the demon and do all the good adventurer questy things. And in the meantime, they've had lives to live. Alberth has been marketing his recent invention of the gun and managed to broker a deal with both a representative of the merchant class and a representative of the noble class to create two versions of the gun to maximize dispersion of the product, and that's looking on the up and up. Grayson had a much worse week, in which his horse, his noble steed, Felt, was stolen from a local stable just outside of the capital, and was returned to him with Grayson was left behind a very threatening note saying that he should stop looking into the existence of demons in and around the capital. And his horse was returned to him with the implicit threat that if he were to keep looking, Felt would not be so lucky. Merigold has been hot on the trail of Pater Ullman and has made some mind-boggling discoveries about the depth and breadth of Pater Ullman's plans. He and other undercover members of the clergy are in some kind of resistance or revolutionary movement, and have been tracking the movement of two people or groups of people that they call the Wolf and the Fox. More on that to come. But we still haven't cracked that particular code. And finally, William was attacked in an alleyway and then learned a bunch about a magic system. Like a lot about a magic system, by going to the Red Temple, where a number of blood mages in the capital perform healing rituals. As well as other darker rituals that they don't publicize very much. But one pays for the other, as it were. And finally, two big game changers for Alberth in our final set of scenes last episode. Alberth A met the reincarnated form of his druid patron, or his wild folk patron, Gawara, or Gabby, who told him that she wanted to return to him his symbiotic link, that wild boon that you got through the basic formation of your patronage with Gabby. But that first she had to witness the same symbiotic power that convinced her to make a deal with Alberth in the first place. The ability to form as strong a symbiotic link and as strong a bond and a friendship as he had with Gunny. And then on a dark and stormy night, Alberth returned to his workshop to discover an old friend and the sort of client of the first quest that our whole first campaign was about. Vizier Kama, the former left hand of the queen, awaited Alberth in his workshop, a woman who, by all reports, had been stabbed to death in a back alley in the capital after returning from that first quest. And with the ominous words, "Alberth, we need to talk," that is where we left the two of them. And so, cutting back now, as if there were no time between, Alberth, you walk into your workshop, close the door against the increasingly torrential storm, and there's a long moment of silence interrupted by the harsh thrumming of torrential rains against the metal rooftop of your workshop, which is connected to Keath's forge area. Now long cold, in the heart of the merchant center of the capital. Zirkama, hands still steepled, long glaive across her back, no like weapons drawn or anything, says, "So you're probably wondering a few things."
Yeah, how are you alive?
Yeah, that's the first thing. It's a good priority. Uh, I should explain to you the basics. So I have made a deal. You know I'm not a caster, which probably makes this turn of events more confusing. That's actually why I came to you, Alberth, specifically, instead of going to anyone else who was involved in the quest. You and I are the only non-casters in that group, if I'm right about Pater Ullman. Uh,
You are right about Peter Ullman.
wait, what? What's that supposed to mean? Hey, you can't just say something
Well,
cryptic to me, tiny man. Tell me what you mean by that.
you are sitting here in my house after we all thought you were dead. I don't know if I'm the cryptic one in this instance. Um, I may dabble in things outside just inventing. Um, I'm also a caster, and I feel like this is a weird moment for us to do this. Um, because as much as I would want to talk more about that, I feel like what you have to say is way more interesting and important.
She leans into her steepled hands, brow deeply furrowed in thought. She says, "Alberth, I respect the self-preservation and just kind of holding in your cards close to your vest instinct that led to us traveling for 3 weeks or so in close company together, and you never mentioning that you were any type of caster. I respect those instincts. What could possibly have changed to make you blurt that out in this moment makes me so concerned about your ability to hold the secrets that I'm literally about to tell you. The fact that I came to you and was like, hey, some of our friends gain power from secrets and secrecy, so I came to you so that you wouldn't, and you were immediately like, here's this whole optional piece of information, is wild to me. But nonetheless, I appreciate your honesty. Can you
I
can I trust you to not be so honest with everyone? Can I feel special that you're gonna say that to me, but your ability to keep secrets hasn't drastically changed since we last met?
Oh no, yes. Let me clarify why I have wanted to kind of throw that in your face since the day that you came and said, "Hey Keith, you're a powerful dude. Come with me." Oh, you got a buddy? Sure. Who cares?
She she seems to think about that and like almost seems to laugh and then frowns and like almost seems to say something like stern or very serious and then kind of just settles for silence and returns to this kind of neutral position of just thinking. She goes, "Right. Okay. Well, that's fair." uh we're getting off topic. How am I alive, you
Yeah.
ask? Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
have and it's not had to do with the caster? Because it seems kind of like something a caster would.
oh, it's definitely to do with the caster. The caster's just not
Oh, okay.
me. No, I have a deal with a really powerful witch who's actually a sovereign who works somewhere around here. Um, Alberth, have I mentioned what a sovereign is? Like, has the in the narration, does Alberth know that term?
Is it like the Duke that was an asshole to us?
No, no, that has to do
Okay.
with political sovereignty. Um,
Hmm.
but she says it like it's something to do with witch powers. And seeing your
Oh.
hesitation, she fills in the blank. She says, "Sorry, I still don't know what kind of caster you are, but presumably you have a patron, and that patron,
Hmm.
if you don't know what a sovereign is likely an otherworlder, like they're from the world
Hmm.
whose powers they're offering. Yeah, casters can actually become powerful enough that they can make like they can offer
Become
patronage.
sovereign?
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah, and so a mortal, like a human being, most likely, that powerful enough to give other people powers, that's a sovereign. Um,
Gotcha.
I don't even know what that's just an example of how powerful she is, but I guess you don't need that example. She brought me back to life. Yeah. So yeah, I know a really powerful witch, and we have a deal uh where I don't die fully. Not unless really specific procedures are undergone. I I I don't even know how to explain it medically, but I mostly die. But as long as she gets access to my body within a certain amount of time, I don't fully cross over. Um, I sort of just, even after my heart stops, whatever it is about me that doesn't reside in my physical body, just lingers for longer than most souls or whatever do. And most, like, there's a lot of witches that can capture someone's soul as it leaves. I'm saying soul, that where I tried not to say that the first time. It's not exactly that. Look, honestly, I don't even know all the specifics. All I know is I have performed some very powerful, like, favors for this witch, and in exchange, it's much harder to kill me in a permanent sense. So it's not really that I came back from the dead. It's that I kind of hung out between
Never
here
left.
and death, and then yeah, bounced back really, really well. But yeah, Pater Ullman had us killed. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
there's so many important things. I don't really know what bullet point to start with. You understand.
it's okay. Yeah. He, yeah. I guess I don't know anything more than you do, but I will say, when the Queen seemed to be confident that you'd be back soon, Peter Ullman seemed real freaked out.
She brought that up like while you were there. Was it in
Yeah.
the throat? Oh, she did that on
Hmm?
purpose. Oh, there's no way she
Oh.
would drop like a piece of info like that on accident, which makes me think she was scanning for reactions, which makes me
Mhm.
think she's a little bit onto him. This is great news that you've just
Good
given me,
news.
Albert. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's excellent. I wonder if doesn't matter. Well, it does, but not for this conversation. Yeah, Pater Ullman had arranged to have me and Rez Kalen killed so that he could be sort of the sole um, person who returned. I've been looking into the hunter casters, the four like really
Yeah.
talented casters that were following us for that whole quest, and I think they have ties to the same organization that Pater Ullman is in.
Mm.
Um, Really cloak and dagger stuff, but I figured I'd take advantage of the time where no one knows if I'm alive or not, and and gather some information. So I know a lot more about what he's planning, the organizations that he's a part of, but I'm not ready to return to the Queen and get real loud about
Yeah.
I'm back, bitches. I'll have an I'm back, bitches moment later. It's but right now you're the only bitch. I'm only telling you. I'm back.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, will you tell me
It's
what
good
kind
to.
of caster you are now? That's because it's
Oh
wild to
yeah.
me.
Sure. And to be fair, it's the status is kind of updated since you didn't undie. Um, but mostly druid. Um, but like spend some time with Abakar Shad, picking up some of those, you know, other features, more angelic spins on things, but mostly druid.
Right
Yeah.
on. So wait, you had all those. You seemed really clumsy out of combat, and then in combat, you were suddenly doing crazy weird flips over people and stuff. Are you a predator druid?
No, I was just borrowing from Keath.
Oh.
Yeah, symbiote. I guess you'd technically
Oh.
call it.
Oh, my first instinct was parasite, like you were taking it from him. And I was like, but he was still was Keath nuts? Was Keath like insanely druid? I think he was. D-
Yeah, to be fair.
I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. Probably should have started
Thank you.
with that. Actually,
Well, I was trying to figure out. I was gonna say I'm sorry for your loss, but then you're not dead. So
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
weird. Yeah, it's complicated.
yeah. Well, I'm glad we're both alive.
Me too.
So, yeah, let me see. And she actually pulls out a list like she had planned out, like stuff she wanted to mention. She's like, right, death at the hands of a witch. You're the only non-caster. Peter Ullman is a traitor. Um, I think he might be a caster, Peter Ullman, and was keeping that a secret.
Mm.
So apparently, I was the only. Yeah, okay. Um, I guess that's it for me. Do you have any? Do you have any questions? What can I help you with?
Um. Hmm. I mean,
Make her sell your
I've been
gun.
hanging out with what's that?
I said, make her sell your gun.
I have a great summer sales position for you.
How
Hammer
do
the
you
Queen
like to
doesn't work out.
control your own hours? Be your own boss. And
No,
now, gun.
yeah. I will say, like, yeah, you're right. I'm still keeping in touch with Merigold, and we've actually made some new acquaintances. Yaska had a demon that she's trying to hunt down, and we're kind of helping her with that. Um, Elway's still kicking around, you know. Um, but yeah, nothing too crazy. It's kind of been a calm for a couple of weeks. I think we're going to pick up again here soon to go back hunting that demon. But that's kind of all we've been up to.
Right on. Sorry, Elway's not in jail?
Um, she did face justice, but in the end, I think they were okay with the arson. It wasn't super clear.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. I guess if anyone's gonna find a place to commit arson against where the average person affected by the situation is like, yeah, that's somehow okay with me, it's gonna be a witch. I'm just not gonna ask what had to burn, you know?
Yeah.
So I was, and she is interrupted by a sudden knocking at your door.
Hold on. I'm all.
Yeah, Vizier Kama like stands up and
Yeah.
like very very tiptoey so that she doesn't give away her presence inside. She tucks her way behind the door that leads to just like a simple half spiral staircase that leads up to like your living quarters, which are over the workshop. So she steps back and closes the door, but like has drawn her knife. She has that weird knife rapier glaive, like but she has the knife and is in like a throwing position. So she nods and hides behind the door.
Cool. Alberth like has his gun ready, and he thinks to himself as he reaches for the door, "I really should come up with like a specific knock to see, so I'm not like on edge every time." But it goes and opens the door.
Right on. The uh the familiar face of Elway, drenched in rain, having not brought like an umbrella or parasol or whatever the medieval version of an umbrella would be. I don't really know, but hasn't really brought anything to keep the rain off her, and just her hair that's like it's shaved here and is all to one side. Her hair that is already like asymmetrical is just in a flat like mat running down because it's just soaked wet, and she looks down at you just a little bit because yeah,
That's right.
we're talking about some of the shortest characters in the campaign in this scene. But Elway goes, "What's up?" and just like walks in. And
Hey, Elway, hey. And I'll like look around the door to see like, do I get a yes or no from Kama?
the door remains closed, and Elway just kind of like looks around and kind of looks at you and it's like, "Why you got the gun out?"
Oh, there's some people that want to kill me for money
Yeah,
or for helping out. You know how it goes. Come on, let's get you sat down by the fire. It's cold and wet out there, it looks like.
Right on. Sounds good. And she wanders over, and you guys sit by the fire, and she goes, "Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about." And she kind of observes your facial expression for a moment. Will you make the first roll, the first official roll of this
Yeah.
new epic, this new era with this rolling system? Yeah, just a
What?
a deception roll, a secrecy
Okay.
roll.
D20?
Yes. An excellent
18.
roll, an 18. She like shakes her head like, I must have been worried about nothing, and goes on. Elway, there are many people in the party and in the story so far that have the ability to kind of tell when someone is lying, and Elway is not one of them. uh And so she just goes on. She says, "Right, so I wanted to talk to you about this heist, or like counter heist, that's going down tomorrow with the whole druidic
Right.
artifact." Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I came here without Yasuka because I wanted to ask. There's two parts of the artifact, right? And we're going somewhere that both of them will be together. One of them held by a group of bandits who's planning to rob the caravan that holds the other half. Now, I looked into this because I wanted to know what the rules should be. And so I found out who's getting this half of the druidic artifact shipped to them. It is let's see, and it's a wealthy merchant noble by the name of Draldi. Basically someone rich enough that they won't miss one little magical half of a magical artifact if it goes missing. And it's their personal caravan, so it's not like people who are, it's not like a middleman who's not going to make any money if it gets stolen. So it's really only reducing like a really rich nobleman's net worth if we take both halves, you know what I mean? Anyways, wanted to run that by you. Because we can approach this however you want. We could hit them up and say, "Hey, you're gonna be attacked by this group, and we can help you," or we could do that and then still take both. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about it. I guess I kind of think of you as the leader.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Guess I never really thought about it.
The power's going to his head immediately.
Excellent.
Oh, why not?
Good.
Why shouldn't I be leader?
All right. Yeah. I think we were all thinking it. Maybe not Yasuka, but we were all thinking it. Like, and on a personal level, I could use some druidic artifact in my life right about now. It could help some stuff out. So
For sure.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Who are we gathering for it? Everyone but Yasuka? Let's see. There's Merigold for sure. There's the new guys like Grayson and William and Lion. Lion's not like a.
Yeah, how do
She's not like she's not an inheritor. So she doesn't have that whole like oathbound thing where if she breaks a rule, her like a patron automatically knows. I don't think she's a caster at all. Lion's just handy with a sword, so I think she'd be chill. Yeah.
Cool. Would she warn Yasuka?
I don't think so. Plus, Yasuka knows we're going. I think it's a plausible deniability situation.
Fair enough. Yeah, and we are going to attack some bandits at some point. So it's not like, yeah, okay. Cool. What was I gonna say? So you looked into this, the wealthy patron that's trying to assemble this. Do you know why, like what the purpose was, or just like add to the collection kind of thing?
Um, no, they collect artifacts, and they're not really looking to assemble it. They're literally buying the half that they know is
Mm.
there, and they know that the other half has been stolen at some point. So it's possible that they're hoping to buy the other half from the black market, or that they think that there's some intrinsic value in having the half of it. But there's there's a whole market if you're just like among the upper crust for just like collecting um magic stuff, and there's a sub
Mhm.
market, like a sub industry under that, that is like repairing or collecting like fragmented stuff, because half of a druidic artifact that doesn't work with the other half is worth way less than half of the price of one druidic artifact that like actually works, you know what I mean? So there's this
Yep.
kind of like poor man's market where you can get into the collecting expensive magic items game if you start in the sort of restoring magic items
Mm.
gang. I don't know a whole bunch about, yeah, I don't have enough money to be super aware of the whole industry, you know, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
Speaking of money, though, and black markets and stuff, what do we want to do when we get it? Because like I feel like it's big enough and cool enough that we can't just not go for it. But like a dog chasing its own tail, do we know what we would do if we got it?
I like I like the metaphor. I guess it depends on what it does. We don't know exactly what it does, right? So
Sounds good.
find out if it's something cool, and
Go from there.
yeah.
Love it.
Boy, I wish we had a druid. Then they'd know what to do with it. I miss
I
Keath.
can come up with something. I do too.
Yeah. Well, sweet. See you tomorrow. Stealing good shit.
Yep.
And she starts to walk away, and then she pauses and turns around with a mischievous grin, like an almost knowing grin. She says, "Are you rushing me out of here because you have someone here?"
Yo, you always knowing the things. It was great to see you.
That's a weird reaction. Is it multiple people? You know what? You keep that to
No,
yourself.
no.
You're fine.
Yeah.
And with a jaunty wave, Elway leaves just as quickly as she came, back into the, again, truly torrential downpour.
Can I offer her like a like an umbrella or something?
Yeah. If you just
Yes.
have one around. She says, right. Sweet. Thanks.
You got it. See you tomorrow.
Yep. And yeah, she heads out, skipping down the street. And Kama doesn't come out when once you've closed the door, but when you like get back to like and open up the door to the area where she was, she has left a small note informing you that she wasn't sure if like if Elway was gonna like check around or anything, so she snuck out a window in the top, but she would come back to talk to you later once she knew more about the Ullman situation.
Cool.
Right on.
Interesting.
And we will
Hmm.
cut away from Alberth to, again, a very nearby portion of the city, just down a couple winding flagstone streets, some hard right angles, and we come around to a number of illustrious marbly buildings that represent the high halls of the university. These huge lecture halls with like sort of powdered glass windows so that natural light can come in, but no one can like peek in and get free information or anything. Big heavy doors, and regular staff that are walking around and not so subtly giving everyone the kind of up and down, making sure they're supposed to be there, The university, of course, being a place for a great deal of secret knowledge. Um, and then we swoop past those large buildings into a group of much crappier buildings that pop up that have popped up around the university as sort of housing for the students that aren't absurdly wealthy, or like places where people live who still serve people in the university but don't actually attend it or like teach there. Generally like lower ranking staff and the sort of restaurateurs and tavern keepers that maintain establishments that cater to an academic crowd. One such establishment, one of the few that on this street is open all night for all comers, is a large building labeled Triple L. There's a sort of emblazoned like 3 L's overlapping one another, and it's not really done very well. Like, it doesn't look like a good logo. It's like a little asymmetrical. Like, the person who wood burnt it like didn't have like a guide that they were working on, and we're just kind of like eyeballing it. The Triple L stands for the Learned Layabout Library, in which Merigold and Fergus sit, each with a large tankard and a heavy tome, just sitting across from one another. They're sharing the rent on one of these tables. That is, there's a certain amount of hours that you pay, or there's a certain amount of money you pay there to be there and just to take up space, and you can read any of their books while you're there. This is one of the few locations near the university that allows for like food and drink near the books, because they have a bunch of like really crappy copies of the same texts, and a bunch of them are like stained or crumpled or folded, and it's clear that people have like folded pages in half to save their place, even though it's a library, like they're shared books and that kind of thing. Just bunch of really hurriedly scratched down scribe copies of common academic texts. It's a much cheaper place than the more expensive places, and you can eat and drink the whole time. And indeed, Fergus, who looks a lot like Merigold, but like shorter and like with a full beard, like a kind of strawberry blonde beard, and a really balding hairline. Fergus is across from Merigold with tome and half full tankard and empty tankard that he still hasn't gotten rid of, and is holding a plate in his other hand full of just like roasted root vegetables with leaves that he's like picking around, and he's just staring really intently, not looking away to eat or drink. He's just staring at this tome like he's trying to win a staring contest with it. Fergus, we've met once or twice, is actually Merigold's one of Merigold's teachers in like the first secret class that Merigold is in attendance at. Merigold, you're just doing some late night studying. There was that recent demon hunt. Everything was like fast and happening. But as so often happens in the time between big plot events, life kind of started to slow down, and you had to set your own pace for a while. Of all of there are many basic topics, and a smaller number of like really advanced topics that you could learn about from the texts in here. What do you think Merigold is currently studying? Some example subjects might be cosmology and the 8 worlds, demon lore, because it's becoming very relevant, mechanical studies, herb lore, history, linguistics, or if there's any question you have in specific about history or the world or the magic system or the politics involved, you could be researching that if you have like a specific question you'd like to get answered.
Demon lore, I think.
Lore. Right on. Yeah, you've gathered a number of heavy tomes, and you kind of have them stacked next to you, like you're ready to read them. And Fergus like breathes in as if to say something, and then a young woman like who has like kind of walked over and is close to you, like looks down at your books and grabs one and darts away with it. Not to steal it, because you're in a library and she's already paying to be there and she can read it, but by the rules of this library, you're not allowed to like reserve books unless it's the one book you're actively reading. And so there's this kind of mini territory war between people who are studying the same thing of like trying to hide the books or like just make sure that they'll be able to read one while they're not like invested in the other one. And so she darts off to a far corner and Fergus goes, oh, that was one of yours. I don't care. And he kind of like skeptically glances down at the title of your book and then like leans over to look at the titles of the other ones and he's like, heavy reading?
It was.
Okay. Anything I should be concerned about? He says, narrowing his eyes, knowing that you've sort of worked in like errant quests before. He's like, is there
Worried? No.
I don't like how you said both of those back to back. That makes me more concerned than before. But I also know better than to Brett. You're being cryptic on purpose, and I know better than to press a fellow mage when they're being cryptic on purpose. You, all right, then keep your secrets. And he looks back down at his book. Make me a d20 roll. I'm gonna say with advantage because this is Merigold's thing. Yeah, you've learned a fair bit. Do you have any particular question? Do you, like Sam, have any particular questions about demons that you think might be answered through this course of study for Merigold?
Origins and motivations, and I'm hoping that I might see something that lets me deduce something that becomes another secret that I can have based on what I already know.
So, from what you find, there is, unshockingly, no hint as to, like, the idea that demons draw power from reputation, not from, like, genuine evilness. But, yeah, which isn't surprising, because if it was common enough knowledge for you to just, like, read it in one of the first couple of books you read about demons, then it wouldn't be a very good secret. But you do find repeatedly mentions of in so many historical stories about demons, like this place was having a demon problem, this kingdom was having a demon problem, or this town. There is so frequently a character who shows up mysteriously to the town, seems to know more than everyone else, and that person ends up helping. And as you read through these, you realize, being familiar as you are with the shape of stories, that a lot of these might be dramatized accounts, duplicated accounts, like from multiple people just telling the same story like they were there. But the few that you can find that seem like they don't glorify that like mysterious hero who shows up and solves everything, those you feel you can rely on more than the ones who are like, and then this amazing stone-jawed hero showed up and saved everyone. The ones who are kind of like, and then some smug asshole rolled into town, he knew what was going on and he kind of helped. When you find those, you quickly sort them into 3 archetypes. In some of the stories, someone shows up, seems to know a lot about demons, but can't help very much. And in the few of these that you see associated with, like, it's written by someone who knows a little bit about actual casting, and they say what kind of caster they were. In most of these, they are mages. So a mage would show up to a town and be like, I know some stuff about demons, but they don't really help fight the demon very much. In the second type of story, someone shows up, helps fight the demon, and is, like, general, like, and fights them one-on-one. Is a big hallmark of some of these. Is like, and then the glorious hero rose a shield glowing with silver light and struck down the demon while saying the voice of, or things like while chanting a verse from whatever holy book the author happens to prescribe to, or like while shouting the name of God. And there's a lot of like religious stories that are like, and then this is proof of what I believe. So that lone hero kind of thing is the second archetype. And the third archetype is someone who shows up, is kind of a dick, but ends up like killing the demon by setting like an elaborate series of traps, or like getting a band of 20 people to ambush the demon and that kind of thing. Less of like a holy like agent of justice, and more of like someone who knows how to kill a demon and is ready to fight dirty. And so in your mind, you separate these as mages who knew things about demons, but didn't really want to stake any personal claim in it. Inheritors, who are just being inheritors, fighting for the glory of the light of the sun and all that, just hunting demons and doing like generally paladin-like things, being honorable and like challenging to a one-on-one duel and all of that. And then people who still know a lot about demons but don't seem to have any magical capabilities, they just like fight dirtier. And from this, I think Merigold has a couple of theories. Maybe one of them being there might be some other mages who also know this secret, and it just hasn't gotten out because they're mages, which makes sense. There's a number of inheritors who are fighting demons. That's not news to anyone. And there's a shocking number of people, or a shocking number of stories of people who know a lot about demons but aren't really magically invested at all. They just kind of know what's going on to a level that you're like, is this an organization? Is this like, or were they sent by someone, you know? Or are these like inheritors in training without any powers? That kind of thing. But I think that's all the conclusions that Merigold comes to, before eventually it is far too late for him to stay up studying and still be all right the next day. And Merigold's got a heist to pull off tomorrow. So after learning these scraps of demon lore, Merigold heads home to go to sleep. Meanwhile, a lone demon hunter in a small tavern on the edge of the city receives a letter that the innkeeper delivers to him with a skeptical glance, because it has a seal on it. Not quite as big as the royal seal, but larger than like a normal nobleman's seal. There's no hard and fast rules about like, this is how big your signet ring is allowed to be, but there's generally like, it's generally followed. And the innkeeper, after giving you that like side eye, like, how are you staying in this building but also receiving letters this important, kind of just gruffly in as few syllables as possible, says, from the mayor.
Thank you, John.
And he just like nods without smiling or without breaking eye contact, and just like backs down the hall and then down the stairs. A very skeptical man, John. So, inside the letter, it is written in like a big swoopy font, but very, very legible, just very kind of showy. And written inside, it says, "To Grayson, the adventurer. Apologies, if you have a surname, I do not yet know it. I received word that a number of horses were stolen from an outlying stable on the walls of our fair city, and as I understand it, your steed was among those stolen. If my sources are correct, I believe you also received a note of threatening nature from the wrongdoer, accompanying the unexpected return of your horse. You being a chosen errant in service of Her Majesty Queen Resenda, I set my personal squadron of the constabulary on the scent straight away, and I'm happy to inform you that the wrongdoer, who stole your horse and sent that note, has been apprehended. I wouldn't want you to leave the capital with the wrong impression, you see. I hope that this letter reaches you in good health, and please, if there is anything that the mayoral office can do to reassure you of the safety of our city, please let me know via letter. You are not alone in your quest. Signed, Mayor Larrick." Mayor Larrick is, of course, the Maine who you recognized the last time you saw him as a fellow member of the Hand of the North.
Okay.
This letter saying that they have apprehended the person who had sent you a threatening note must be a sign that he is still operating within the Hand of the North, that he has your back, and that he's found the person that was threatening you, which is great news.
Yeah. I was sort of I was a little concerned at the beginning of this because I thought it was. I remember the horse and note was returned by the Quill hand guy, and I was worried because that seems like not common knowledge. But it's a Hand of the North guy. We're chilling. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yep. Yeah. That is how he knows those secret things. I also want to note he mentioned his personal branch of the constabulary, or personal squadron on the constabulary. The constabulary, which is the sort of law enforcement within the capital and within many major cities of Telmeri. It consists of a number of seats that are actually allotted to landholding nobles who can have the central constabulary populate those seats, or can actually appoint their own constables. And the constables who are assigned to them essentially will carry out their justice. Like if they were wronged, or if someone who knows them or someone who swears fealty to their house were wronged, that's how all constables work, is just for the people who control their seats in the constabulary, which means that all law enforcement is bound to land ownership. So if like a member of the peasantry needs a crime investigated, then they have to talk to their feudal lord and have them send one of the constables. And so it all has to be run through the nobility. So that's why he has a personal squadron on the constabulary and can just send them to do missions. Anyways.
Wait.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, on the back of the note, it specifies a time and place that is later that day and not too far away. And when Grayson goes, it is like the directions that it gives are to a small bench with a view of the gibbet square. Gibbet? I swear I've heard it both ways. The gallows, the place where they hang people. There are 2 people being hung, with the third noose like empty because they just have them in sets of 3 everywhere for some reason. But the one in the middle, they have like signs that are why they're being hanged. And you show up just before the execution, where they drop out the trapdoor beneath them. But one of them has like the sign says that they were arrested for mass theft and threatening one in service of the queen.
Boy.
Sorry, I lost you completely. Or maybe everyone. Do I have you back? No. I don't hear your voice at all. I can see you. That seems like the harder part to do. What's up, Discord?
Tom, did you hit a button on the back of your headset that might have muted you?
Nope. Still nothing.
Did you have push to talk on?
Wait, the thing around
I
your
saw
frame
green,
went
yeah.
green. That's so rude. Hey!
There it is.
Oh,
Are we back?
He's back.
Yep.
That's random. Okay. That's very weird. Oi, you. Why did you steal my horse?
You walk up. The guy like looks confused and like looks around. He looks panicked, but he looked panicked before. He's about to be executed, and he goes, "What? I stole your horse?"
Yeah, and then I'm gonna unsheath my Kopesh just a little bit.
Are you threatening me? You're threatening me now. He has his arms behind his back, and like the noose has been tightened. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Cut me free if I do tell you?" And the executioner looks at you like, "Are you gonna do that?"
Let's just say there are more painful ways to die than being hung.
It's hanged. You can't die from being hung.
Semantics.
Semantics.
What a... Did not expect this scene to become a D's nuts scene. But that's where we are. And the executioner leans toward Grayson and goes, "Hey, buddy, I know you got like a whole thing to do here, but he stole a lot of horses, and we got a timetable to keep, my guy."
But I got to know why he stole my horse. I like my horse.
I was paid to do it. The guy with on the news says, he's like, "I'm not sure. I don't think they can do anything to me after death, so I'll tell you what you want to know. I was paid to do it by a guy who I think was a warlock." He said there was something about demons going on. He wasn't really forthcoming with the information. He just paid me a bunch of money and then gave me the stable writs, like the like forged. I mean, he can't gesture, his hands are tied behind his back, but he says the stable writs that I used to steal all of those, he had forged them ahead of time, or had someone else forge them. Tall guy, he's like 6'2", black hair. Yeah.
Where can I find this guy? Where did you find this guy?
Shoot. Actually, kind of near the constabulary, and he gives you like the directions to get to the like abandoned alleyway where he had met with that guy.
All right. Thank you, Jean.
How do you know my name? And with
I
that,
do my
the
homework.
executioner grimly pulls back the lever. Thus ends 2 more lives. Meanwhile,
I forgot about the other guy that was just sort of sitting on the block.
Get it over with.
does anyone have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Johan? Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, there is a growing legend. A legend that grows not really among the nobility or most of the merchant class, but among the impoverished of the capital. There is a strange legend of a man with golden eyes, walking the streets, and giving people what they need, often even before they know they need it. William is growing in fame in this city, as he has by occasionally by a different name, but as he has in many cities in many kingdoms, where at first William was ignored or unseen. Soon William became curious and even the target of like theft, like pickpockets and cut purses and alleyway muggers. But after one significant confrontation in which William took down by all accounts 8 men who attempted with knives, who attempted to take him down in an alleyway. He he threw them all to the ground without ever throwing a single punch or using a single weapon. Then he called them each by name, gave them the money that they would need to help their sick relatives, and sent them on their way. A story told over and over again by a group of 7 frantic-looking orphan like children who have just been running around telling the story to anyone who will listen. William now walks the streets, still largely ignored by the nobility and mercantocracy, but merchants, but almost revered by the poor around him. There is this sort of Forrest Gumpian fleet of people just walking behind him anywhere he goes, and when they're going through major thoroughfares, they try not to be obvious because they don't want it to look like they're in like a revolution or something, just like a bunch of shoeless urchins just like walking in unison behind an absurdly tall man. They don't want to they don't want it to look like they're there to do a violence. But in the alleyways and the less impoverished or the less densely populated areas, William is followed by a fleet of people whose constant requests for money, while like genuinely needed, as William consents, are beginning to run William out of the substantial amount of money that he builds up by doing odd jobs like a half giant does odd jobs, and like making connections like a half angel makes connections. William gathers a bunch of money when he's outside of cities, tends to do very well for himself, but his coffers are almost bone dry as he walks down the street looking around thinking, people were a lot, it was a lot easier to do good when it was whatever good I just did. Now good is expected of me, and I'm not sure how good that is.
Good becomes the bare minimum, and that's not good.
Yeah. Nonetheless, when William sits down to eat lunch, which he grabbed from like a vendor selling something on the side of one of these roads, the people disperse as they always do, not wanting to crowd you during lunchtime. They all seem very concerned that if someone says or does something the wrong way, that your ire will turn against them, or you'll feel less generous suddenly. You're not sure what societal pattern they're reading into here, that like William will get angry if they ask for too much, but you can sense their hesitation as they back off and give you space around lunchtime. Except for one young urchin who barefooted and looking like, urchin is a general term that I'm using here to describe people's appearance. William doesn't really like know every detail about these people or their housing situation or anything, but they have the impoverished look of someone who, once you enter a city, you kind of just glaze over them in your eyes because they're everywhere, but they're not trying to be in the way. They just don't have anywhere else to be, so they become white noise to people's eyes very quickly. One such person walks right up to William, stops maybe about 5 feet away, and just stands there like he's waiting to be acknowledged. This is a child, maybe between 8 and 10, with like a shaved head, not quite like shaved flat, like imagine Aang from Avatar, but like when he's like in a manic state and hasn't had time to shave his head during the last season. You know what I'm talking about. It's just this kind of patchy kid hair. And he just stands, arms like hanging at his sides. He's not like, he's just like waiting with a really like neutral expression. Yeah. And he's just like looking at you with a really flat expression.
Can I sense what he's like wanting?
You do have a sense of grace. You can tell he wants something from you, and maybe it's just acknowledgement. But you can tell that he's like waiting for you to say something.
I'm gonna get on one knee and like offer my hand out and say, what can I do for you, child?
He looks down and like high fives your hand. Well, like he just assumes that's what you wanted him to do, and he looks up at you and says, "Do you have a squire?"
Fortunately, I do not.
Reading nothing into your implication, he says, "Cool, my name's Gam. My mom says that I need to be my mom says that I need to find an apprenticeship or a squire I need to be an apprentice or a squire so that I can learn a skill and get a job and stop eating all her food. Do you have a squire?" He asks again.
All right, come on. How old is he? Like 5?
He's between 8 and 10. You're not really sure in that range.
He's not like a literal child.
No,
okay.
he's large enough to carry things for you, which is basically what a squire does.
Do I have any money left?
Precious little.
All right. Okay, real quick. Can you give me a quick recap? Do you remember exactly what I did at the very end of last session?
Very end of last session. One of the last things I remember is you talking to the people at the Red Temple.
Yeah. So I met. Would I have a sense for Merigold being somebody that's like learned in the interactions between the realms and Otherworlders as a concept?
William knows that they talk about it at the Universalist Academy, which I think I've called the university like 3 times this session. It's the Universalist Academy. That's the origin of the term. Yeah. But the stuff that you heard about the Axis of Instinct, which led you to try to find a druid, which led you to Alberth, for reasons that Alberth still doesn't understand. You have you know that Merigold is in attendance at the Universalist Academy, so he's probably the first person who would come to mind that you would think like, yeah, he knows about like the worlds.
I'm going to throw a couple of coins to this kid. I'm going to say, like, hey, there's somebody over at the university, more than likely, probably a library. Name's Merigold. Do you mind just telling him to come over to, like, the Red Temple for me?
Yeah, you said you had this kid a coin?
Yeah.
Sweet. He takes it and he looks at you like kids look at someone when they're about to like make fun of them, where he like sticks his neck out a little bit and like furrows his brow. He's like, you don't pay a squire, you're supposed to teach them things. And then he puts the coin in his pocket and he walks off to try to find Merigold.
Nice.
You're an idiot.
Right on. Merigold, you are on your way home from that long studying thing, seeing triple when a small when you come upon a site. There is a small, like, a child whose age you could not possibly guess at, in clothes that very clearly mark him as someone who's not supposed to be here. You're on one of those streets that I was talking about near the Universalist Academy, where there are members of staff kind of looking up and down like, is everyone here rich enough to be here? And you can see several of them trailing behind this kid, like trying to find an opportunity to jump in and be like, hey, can I help you find your parents who aren't here and are probably poor? They're like trying to, as this kid walks up to random people, tugs on their pant leg, whether or not they're looking at him, and goes, are you Merigold? Doesn't wait for an answer and moves to the next person going, are you Merigold? Are you Merigold? Are you Merigold? He's asking men, women, professors, students, just kind of saying it at random people.
I've created a monster.
I'm
just gonna keep going and see if he eventually finds me, I guess.
As you pass by him, his eyes lock into you as like the person who you're like the only person within eyesight that he hasn't bothered, and he like kind of speed walks with his arms very like out a little bit, like when kids walk in like Legend of Zelda games, you know what I'm talking about? He just speed walks towards you, just like still staring with this extremely neutral expression, but very animated from the neck down. And the professors that have been following him start to dash after him. They're like, child, stop it. And one of the professors who is one of your teachers, who teaches one of your herb lore classes. That's just like a general class that was just like recommended for you to take if you don't have any cool secret classes to take. You don't really care what happens in that class, but you found some interesting like leaves that will get you high. That's basically what you've learned from the class so far. And she sees this kid reaching out towards you, one arm still going wild. And she goes, "Oh, Merigold, you're gonna trip over that kid." And the kid goes, and he grabs your pant leg with both fists and goes, like he doesn't want you to leave. And he goes, "Are you Merigold?"
Legend.
I suppose I suppose I am. I say with a pointed glance at the person who said my name.
Hello. Yeah. The professor like pulls at her collar like, "Hey, my bee." And the other professors have like their hands half out, like they're waiting to see what you do with this child before they know whether to just like carry him out of there. And the child looks up at you, says, "Suppose I am," and he says, "Okay, I'm a squire. I need you to come with me."
You're a squire?
Yeah.
Of who?
This is the best decision I ever made.
Of who?
I think his name is Willem.
Willem.
He was the first person I asked. He said I could be his squire, and then he paid me. What a dummy.
So is he a knight or is he?
I don't know. He doesn't have a sword. I bet he's a knight, though. Are most adults knights? My mom's not a knight.
Okay, good night, child. And I'm just gonna keep walking along my way.
Okay. William doesn't see the child for the rest of the night. The next day, the party gathers.
Oh my gosh.
And when William walks out from the place that he is staying, the tavern keeper, being one of many recipients of kind things that William has done around town, refuses to take any more of William's money, and has continued to send up a meal every night when William gets back to the tavern. And this is another sign. Every time they bring a meal, William thinks, if I run out of money, my reputation is going to sour very quickly because I've built a certain expectation for output of funds. And every time someone does something a little nice for me, they build their eventual resentment for me when I turn out to just be like a guy. You think this as the tavern keeper sends one of his barmaids who you think might be his daughter or like an adopted daughter, runs over to you with like a plate of like breakfast sausage, just and like a large egg.
Very sweet. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna eat it, and I'm going to leave.
Sweet. When you leave, there is a very bored-looking 8-year-old leaning against the door, weirdly close to the doorway, just looking up and making eye contact with everyone who walks through. And then he sees you, and he doesn't say anything. He just like stands up straighter instead of leaning against the doorway. And when you start to walk away, he just like toddles behind you. You have a squire now. His name is Gam.
Right.
So,
Hey, his mom said to I was like, "Where's your parent?" No, his mom said to him, "All right, go to the group, I guess."
sweet. You walk for an astonishing amount of time in silence. You've met children. You don't think it's normal for them to spend this long without asking you annoying questions. But you walk 3/4 of the way across the city before this child finally says, "Are you going to pay me every day?"
No.
Okay.
Oh, so sad.
Finally, You and your very bored, way too young squire arrive at Alberth's workshop.
Can I stop at a bakery? Is there a
Yeah.
bakery that I've particularly found favor with, like trying to like make meals, provide meals,
For
kind
sure.
of thing?
Yep.
Can I ask them to be like, hey, found somebody who's looking for some skills. This is specifically the one that I think he would be good at. Do you mind just taking care? I'm only gonna be gone like an hour, 2 or 3. I'll be right back for him.
The baker looks down at this clearly deeply impoverished child and goes, yes, perhaps we have a place for him. Yes.
I'm gonna look at Gam and be like, this is how I've harbored such skill and such ability. This will teach you to be a great worker in the future and provide wealth of money eventually, more than probably.
Okay. And he turns to the baker, who says, all right, who's ready to be apprentice for the day? And he says, no thanks, I'm already a squire. But he walks behind the counter anyways, and the baker like looks back and forth between this child and you and says,
I would be like,
okay, let's get you cleaned up, little master.
I'll put like one more coin on the counter and be like, thanks, buddy, and I'm gonna walk away.
The baker looks at it for a long moment and he says, that makes me feel worse about what I estimate this child's abilities to be. So it's babysitting now. Okay.
Don't think about it.
Well,
like
you
that.
you
Don't
have
think about it for too long.
Okay. He seems very hesitant about this child, but clearly still having some goodwill for you. He does set out a fresh baked little breakfast loaf on the counter for you to take as you leave.
All right, cheers. I'm gonna be on my way.
Right on. You arrive at Alberth's workshop, the set destination for where everyone's supposed to show up. Before going on this heist, Grayson is already there, as well as Elway, Lion, and Alberth, which means you are the second to last to arrive. What do you think the scene looks like when he walks in? Alberth and Grayson, what kind of conversations do you think you would have struck up with one another, or with Elway, or with Lion, while just waiting for everyone to show up?
I probably would have wanted to bake some like sweets, like some fruit breads or something like that. And I'll probably just be like making sure everybody is got some food and or drink. I don't know if Alberth would be like leading the conversation necessarily, just like playing host a little bit.
Very nice. Yeah. Alberth has noticed like a curious side effect, kind of like how when he first became a druid, he started noticing more and more like when he saw a plant in like some nobleman's garden, he would think like, oh, I know that plant didn't grow in this soil because of the direction that it grew in. I knew it grew next to something else that would have taken the light, and so that's why it grew kind of askew in this direction. Just sort of a sense for nature and why nature does stuff. Little effects like that are hard to quantify. It's hard to make them a bullet point on a list of abilities. Alberth has noticed something similar since he became a servitor, an angelic magic user, a celestial magic user, if you will. If Alberth regularly cooks or bakes for people, he's noticed a significant improvement in his baking skill. Like he knows what people will like before they try it.
Nice.
Yeah, and so Alberth has made these delicious buns that have like wheat and honey and a pinch of salt, and these little cups of like fruit preserves that are like boiled down with sugar, and something that an alchemist you met called pectin that really thickens it up in interesting ways. And so you have this little trifecta of like fruit jellies that people can like dip their honeyed bread in. Nice. And everyone seems very delighted by these these baked goods and sort of preserves that you've set out for them. A very tall man walks in with a very inferior baked good. Yeah.
William, hey, come on in.
Hey guys, good to see ya. I see Merigold isn't here. I sent for him last night. Never showed up.
Elway looks curious. I hope everything's all right. And Lion noticeably in the corner goes, "It's fine if it's not." And Elway looks like, "What?" And Lion goes, "How long have you all been friends with Merigold?"
All of like maybe a day or two.
Right.
Friends is a strong word.
Yeah.
I probably know him well. I met him when like Yastika met him.
Yeah.
Do you have issues with him?
She kind of looks around. Alberth, you're fantastic at getting people to tell you things. Because you're so naturally trustworthy, and your double magics that are based around like being a bro and being helpful and they make you so naturally trustworthy. You're also talking to a very naturally skeptical person. But I'm gonna say you still make the roll with advantage to see. A 17 is more than good enough. Lion kind of looks around and thinks, says, "I think Merigold had me followed. I know that I know that mages thrive on secrets. They get their powers from them or whatever. I'd really rather keep mine to myself."
I'm gonna butt in a little bit and say, mages harbor power from secrets. Does anything else do that specifically? I think this is the first time William would have heard that said aloud at all.
That's a good note. That's a good character note. And she goes, yeah. I think in a lot of cultures, mages have a reputation for secrecy. But I knowing a little more about casters now than I did just a couple years ago. Mages like seek out secrets, and I'm not sure if the secrets have intrinsic power or if they like give the secrets to their patrons and that's why patrons give them powers, because all the different otherworlders have like reasons for selecting casters. But yeah, mages hunt for secrets pretty aggressively, or hunt for knowledge, maybe just some of its secrets, but it doesn't actually have to be secret, it just has to be important information. But yeah, either way, there was like there was this weird pale guy following me. And I think that Merigold sent him because Merigold was really curious about what was going on with me and kept like making people scream their secrets aloud. That was weird, man.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't sound like Merigold because he tends to be able to get people to say their secrets.
So that's like the perfect wizard counter, right? That makes it so that Merigold can effectively disarm other wizards if they have powerful secrets. He can just effectively make it well known to as many people as he wants and dethrone them from their abilities.
Yeah, I guess so. Do mages like not like other mages?
I'm not sure. Do other world creatures harbor power from secrets?
I'm sorry. I've introduced so many characters, and their accents, I don't really decide them until I start saying the words from them. I just realized this is important. Lion is from Venel, the same country as Merigold. So she should be talking with a bad Scottish accent. So I will.
Should I be talking with a bad Scottish accent?
I think we've established that Merigold was a stage name and has been, and that Merigold has been in the kingdom of Telmeri for a long time and has hidden his accent very well, and he still can have it. I think the first time you pulled it out was like in the throne room, talking to your older sister who was there to bring you back to Cashlin Cairn. But yeah. Sorry, what was your question to Lion?
Basically, do any like Otherworlders, do they specifically harbor power from secrets? Is that where they derive their power?
I don't think so. Pretty sure it's mages specifically. Yeah, all the 8 different kinds have their different gimmicks. I don't rightly know all of them, but mages look for secrets. That much I know. So
I really appreciate that. Is there anything I can do for you here in the Merigold sense? I think he's, from what I've sensed so far, nothing particularly malicious from his end. At least what I've read in the room.
Right. Nope. Just prefer to play my cards close to the chest, as it were. Yeah.
What cards would that be?
That would be telling, wouldn't it?
It was Tom that had her followed, right?
It was.
Okay.
I will just ask, just so that we know, is it something that we should know about before we go into a potentially dangerous situation combat-wise? Like,
oh, no. No, it's not anything about my motives. It's about genetics is more of the issue. Right. Well, if that helps.
Fair enough.
Yep. Soon thereafter, Merigold does show up. Hungover, but he's there.
Merigold, I sent for you yesterday. Why didn't you show up?
Oh, that was you? He said he was from some knight named
Keath.
Willem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's not very good at his job yet.
Sorry, who? Elway asks.
Some probably homeless boy decided he was my squire, and I just felt like he really needed something to help get him going throughout the day, so I dropped him off at the bakery down the street.
Oh, right on.
Hey, Jack, is my compelling discretion still gone?
No, it has recently returned to you. Very recently.
Do I have any secrecy pings going off in my head right now?
Oh,
anyone in this room?
Grayson and Lion both have, like, auras of secrecy. It's wild. You also know for a fact that William is lying about a number of things, or like, hiding a number of things. Elway and Alberth are, like, pretty... Oh, yeah, no. I know that Alberth has a secret. He's just better at hiding.
Oh.
I guess not that you're better at hiding it. Keeping secrets isn't like a part of your identity, so you don't radiate it. And Merigold can't like detect anyone who's hiding anything, but when you're hiding enough of a portion of who you are, then that's what really sets off the alarm bells for Merigold. I mean, player knowledge separate from character knowledge, everyone here knows the Vizier Kama is alive, but like if Vizier Kama were to come up and Alberth weren't to say anything, then Merigold would probably get a like,
Cool.
Do I sense any hostility from Lion?
Roll an insight check, just a flat d20. 13. She doesn't seem like friendly or familiar towards you, but it seems more professional than cold.
Okay. Cool.
Sweet. Looking around, there's a long moment of silence, and then Elway says, "So Merigold, do you have anyone followed recently?" and Lion shoots her like a flat stare, like, really? Elway goes, "What? I bet he didn't." No, no one wants to work with Merigold, and he's poor now. Merigold, did he send anyone? I mean, you're
Send
not poor.
anyone to follow anyone? No.
Okay, sweet. Really? Not anyone? I thought you were going to investigate Peter Ullman at least.
I didn't send anyone.
Oh, you did it yourself.
Ooh.
Incognito. Secret agent style. Respect. Right on. Well, that's resolved. Let's go.
Yes, I haven't stolen anything in so long. Let's get on the road.
So we're gonna be saving this lord, right? That's what we're gonna be doing, right?
Yeah, we should have a talk about this.
It's a
Yeah, nobody
caravaneer.
like outwardly kills somebody, right?
Yeah, death is bad. We should just threaten them. It says, and Lion like shrugs, like, yeah, I'm pretty much all right with that.
Guys.
Look,
Wait,
William.
so who are we threatening?
Oh, right. Let's go over the plan. So, this is Elway talking. So, two halves of a druidic artifact. A gang of thieves who calls themselves the Emerald Bandits, who we met earlier. You all remember. Well, technically you met. I was in a tree. They stole one half of the druidic artifact from one person from a town down south that I think was called something dumb like Silence or Solemnity. It was something that started with an S. Seldom? Yeah, it was also a real word. It was seldom, for sure. And Lion says it's actually spelled with an E. Seldem. And Elway says, cool, don't care. So, two halves of the druidic artifact. They already stole one half. They're going to steal the other half from a caravan that works for, let me look it up, for a nobleman by the name of Draldy. Stupid name. Draldy collects artifacts and fragments of artifacts to look cool in front of all of his rich friends. We're gonna steal both of them, or maybe we're gonna talk to the caravan and be like, hey, someone's planning on stealing something from you. We'd like to act as caravan guards and stop you from being violenced at. Sort of a good guy, bad guy route to go down. Only if you consider property theft really that bad if it's from rich people, but we don't have to talk about it. That's the plan. We should probably decide which one of those we'd like to do ahead of time, but it's all right if we play it by ear. We should see how cool the caravan is before we know whether we should rob them.
I have just the inn for us, and I go up to where I've been preparing, and I tear down this beautiful, like, white sheet, and there's just, like, exactly enough crossbows, like, freshly minted for everybody. We're going to offer our services. Sorry, guns.
There it is.
Fancy ones.
Offer our services.
Did I just get sponsored?
Hey.
We're not gonna like kill them though, right? Like outwardly, we don't need to like literally burn through human lives, right?
Yeah, we should definitely not kill anyone.
I agree.
Except for
All
maybe
right, then
bandits.
I take the crossbow. Bandits
Sweet.
are human.
Lion takes.
We do need to talk about, however, if we do kill someone, we definitely also should kill that lawyer guy. So he can come.
Right.
Number one.
But
Yeah, for sure.
But I think he took. I don't know if he's going to be there the day of.
Yeah.
We might have to
leave no survivors, and
we did
no
swear
big deal.
Did we swear we weren't going to do anything to him?
Oh, there was that whole legal thing where he gave you all coins and was like, I've bribed you now. If they use magic to make me tell the truth, I can still tell you that I bribed you to not report us, and that's a crime, so you'll be going to jail.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm okay to go to jail.
What?
I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's not a joke.
Well, I don't want to go to jail. but I do want to see what this artifact is for sure. Plus, 90% of highway robberies don't result in any form of violence. And of the ones that do, over 80% don't result in a single fatality. Turns out,
those are crazy statistics. Holy cow. Where'd you
yeah,
find that?
burglary actually leads to violent crime more often than highway robbery, like literally threatening someone's life leads to violent crime. Because when there is a drastic like a disparate level of capability for violence, it's the best. Like, there's rarely ever actual violence. Anyway, it still shouldn't happen to poor people. I think listen, I don't like violence. I think we should not do violence. I just don't think theft is as bad as people think it is. This is LA.
I mean, yes, I agree.
I mean, if you're stealing from someone who would die with lack of funds, that's bad news. But if you're stealing from someone who owns an estate, they're not gonna suffer overly much from not having this half of a weird magic headband. I just don't really care. We should definitely not do violence. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that because we are stealing things doesn't mean that we should do violence, because those are drastically separate crimes.
So you're proposing the cat burglary route?
Oh, if we could do that, absolutely. We should not make eye contact with anyone and just steal from both from the caravan and from the. But that leaves a certain capacity for violence on the table, because presumably the Emerald Bandits will still attack the caravan. So there's already going to be a stick up and possibly like violence. If we could prevent that and then also steal both items without ever committing any acts of violence, then we would both gain monetarily from it and also have actually prevented violence. That's the optimal situation. I don't really know how we would do it. We could talk to the caravaneers, tell them to take a different route because criminals have their itinerary, thereby saving them the trip. And then while we told them that, we could steal stuff from them. And then we could stage a fake caravan as like a sting operation for the bandits. I didn't plan on any of this, but now that we're talking about reducing violence, I can see a much more optimal path. What do we think about this?
I love it.
Do we have the funds to stage a caravan?
Oh, don't worry about it. I can just buy one. The real question is,
Kane, why are we stealing anything?
Skilled enough?
Just buy both halves.
I mean,
Wait,
I'm in this weird position where maybe we could do that.
No, elaborate heist.
Wait, we have to wonder, is it even worth purchasing? We don't even know what it does yet.
That's true.
Always says.
So we do the heist, and then we figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we pay for it.
Yes. Or we get somebody else to pay for it.
Yeah.
I thought we already went over that theft isn't really that bad.
True.
For the record,
we could just leave it out for somebody to steal after that.
If we do want to go the purchase route, they did that one guy that you sang the name of a bunch of times. I can't remember for sure. Gareth? Geller foolishly told us the name of the fence that he was selling the artifact to. Like, we know who to talk to if we want to buy it. We have all day. It's not going to be till late afternoon that the caravan rolls in. Are we doing this? It seems like we're doing this. I mean, we're already going to stage a heist, but now it seems like we're maybe staging 2 heists and also preventing crime.
Win-win.
Win-win.
Big question. Do we have anybody among us who is good enough at stealing things that can... among us.
I got to stop watching Michael Reeves. That's my knee-jerk reaction.
Does anybody know how to steal stuff?
Yeah.
Elway goes, yeah, for sure. Wait, really? Cool.
Oh, you got this. I was joking.
I don't believe that for a second. We don't know what you bring to the table, so anything you claim, I'm gonna completely believe. You've also got crazy amounts of weaponry, so I assume that's a major part of what you're bringing to the table.
True.
I can offer you
once
guys
slayed
a
a dragon.
handy gun.
Right.
You what? Did you say you slayed a dragon?
Yes, that's.
I
Sorry,
missed
she
that.
said she'd believe anything I said. She'd believe anything I said. So building a rep,
Dragons aren't real. Anyways.
That's what you think.
I'm actually going to believe them as well. I don't think dragons are real.
Oh, he goes right on, right on. So first we approach the caravan, see if we can talk them into taking a different route, and then maybe one of us steals stuff while the other people do the first thing. I'm not any particular kind of wordsmith, but I am great at sneaking through trees and stealing things. So I would like to be on that team. If I'm the entirety of that team, that's fine with me.
Alberth, I think we've got plenty of ability between the two of us.
Agreed.
Solid. Okay. Wait, hold on. Technical note, I'm hearing myself through Miles.
How?
I don't know, but after I talk, your little ring comes up green.
You do.
And I can hear just a 1% of my voice.
Okay, try now.
I'm trying now. Oh, excellent. No echo whatsoever. You fixed it. Digital high five.
I got in on that too.
Yeah. So, you guys set out to find this caravan, save their lives, and steal their shit. You guys rent some horses once again, everyone except for Grayson, who once again rides Felt, who has been returned to him. You guys gallop your way out through the Vallewold, past all the places that you had gone to before. And at one point passing through, you remember, oh, we never had Tomas cook us food. We should hit him up.
I have bread.
Well, not because you desperately need food right now. Everyone has bread. Alberth made bread. No, just because he seemed like a good cook. He was really passionate about it. Oh, you know what? We never checked out that French bistro on 54th. I have bread. I'm sorry. Okay, you guys head all the way through the Vallewold to the northwest a little bit and find the major road that is coming in through which the caravan is supposed to be. You guys post up and walk for a little while at a defensible location. Several people look around, see there's a bunch of people with weapons, and hurry on their way. Bandits, they're bandits. We gotta get out of here. But assuming you don't stop any of them and take their cash, they just keep going. I'm kidding. Don't make this the Highwayman campaign. It'd be a drastic turn.
Brand new toll road nobody knew about.
I have a question.
Yep.
So my compel indiscretion is pretty powerful. Can I choose to shoot 50% of it at someone if I don't want to completely make them scream their secrets?
Yes, and yes, you can attempt to do so. Secrecy, enhancing a spell with secrecy gives you power. But the precision is just a matter of practice, and I think that Merigold hasn't had a lot of practice turning down the intensity of a spell like that, so it's an experimental process and something you'll still have to roll for, but yes.
So as we walk, I'm just gonna throw out a little compel indiscretion at the people that we pass by, just to experiment with it.
Yeah, go ahead and make a roll.
The cooldown is so fast now, I feel like that's the best way to practice. Yeah.
Oh, no.
The first one you still overshoot by a little bit, and a large balding man loudly professes his love to a married woman, and and actually ends up walking in the opposite direction of that caravan with a very light looking bindle over his shoulder as he continues to just say things he doesn't want people to know, just like muttering them under his breath and kicking rocks and just
Well,
Grayson's gonna edge away from Merigold at this juncture.
You prepare your mental fortifications because you've got the psychic barriers. You're actually optimistic about your chances against even like a pretty amped up spell, but if he does that whack shit where he enhanced it with the mega blast, you're not sure if the demon was just yodeling everything, you're not sure anyone has a chance against that. That's nuts. In fact, you start to think about the level of secrecy that some people have and the amounts of violence that you've seen committed proactively to prevent secrets from being spilled, and you start to realize like Merigold puts anyone who keeps a secret in a dangerous position by having such an absurdly large bullet loaded in the chamber. If people hear about how good he is at making people scream things that they don't want to be known, he might be killed ahead of time just to prevent collateral. Like just to, like as an insurance measurement, you know? And you're not sure Merigold has that many like defensive capabilities, more like mind blast capabilities only. He's like a mental glass cannon. So yeah,
Yes.
Eventually a caravan peeks over the nearest ridge, flying the colors that Elway identifies as the colors of Draldi. It's Lord Draldi of House Draldi, one of those. But this being his personal caravan, he's not traveling with them. He's in the capital, but like it's the caravan that he sends out on missions. It's not just a merchant caravan who's wanting to sell this thing or is like transporting this thing for him. It's his staff, which also means that's part of what Elway had said was like, this isn't like a merchant family that might starve if they don't sell this one really expensive thing. It's people who will still have the job whether or not this thing gets back, and people who are well cared for. So yeah, they peek over the ridge and Elway goes, right on, I'm gonna hide behind that rocky outcropping right there. You guys distract them and I'll slip into the covered wagon. Is anyone joining me on the thief part? It feels like a one person thing, but there might be a sort of like two-layered, one person kind of distracts them a little bit, like makes noises like they're wildlife, and then one person moves in.
Normally I'm all for the one-man job, as the more people, the more likely you are to get caught. But I was not joking about how it's been so long since I've stolen something. So I'll join you.
Right on. Sweet. I guess I'll see the rest of you on the other side. And then she kind of furrows her brow like, that was a really lame way to phrase that. And then she shakes it off and then she rolls into the bushes. Yeah, so Elway and Grayson disappear into the tree line, start finding their way around to that like outcropping full of boulders, and you guys come out from your kind of defensible hilltop position, start walking down like you're just a small group of travelers gonna meet some people on their way to the capital. Just gonna run past them. You guys kind of drop down towards like you'll meet at this rocky outcropping, and in the distance you see one of them raises a hand and like whistles an ascending tone. Just do it. I'm not gonna try and whistle and see if Discord is gonna pick it up. It's not. But just kind of like a hail and well met kind of whistle, just from really far away. And
Can I try and do the same whistle back?
Yeah, give it a try. Roll a d20 just to see. I don't think they'll be offended if it goes poorly. I just, to add to the visual, let's see how well Alberth does this whistle.
Oh.
Oh, we might have
Timed out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have to rejoin the table.
Can I roll for him?
Yeah. Oh,
I
it looks
rolled
like you
an
already
18.
did. Sweet.
Nice.
Alberth whistles excellently. And
I got you.
yeah. Yeah, and you guys come down, meet at this rocky outcropping, and start talking. They look happy to have a reason to like set down their various packs and things and sit down. And the caravan, the two caravan leaders, a tall thin man and a more broadly built woman, both actually reach into their packs and pull out these they're like a set of interlocking like wooden rods with like leather pulled between them, and as they like extend these rods, the little X's in the middle like stretch out, and they have like little fold up chairs and they like sit down cool. to hang out and talk to you guys. They just have like road chairs, and they sit down and go, hey, howdy, how's it going? You guys headed out from the capital?
We are. Yeah. Are you headed there?
Yeah, sure are. This is the woman talking. She says we're just bringing an item back for the nobleman we work for. Started working for him a couple months ago. He had us way out north, almost to the border with Dulmer. But we're bringing back just a handful of goods he had us grab from a town up north. We had a good time out there. Yeah.
Oh, I might. I should really stick to the plan. But man, do I want to screw with the plan?
William has to follow his heart. What does William do here?
All right, I want to put on the charm. I have the ability to like increase my natural charisma.
Yes.
How much mana have I been storing over like the last week? The last like few sessions, I've almost deliberately not spent any to be building up. How much do I have?
A fair amount. Because while not all of William's like acts of charity qualify for like the red source that we were talking about, some of them, especially things that have to do with getting people food or clothing or shelter, have a lot to do with like sensory, like something that counts as pleasure and not just joy. That you have caused people's situations to not just be emotionally improved, which is kind of William's forte, but occasionally it really has been like a material improvement that helps them be more comfortable or like more safe and well off and that kind of thing. And a lot of those things did count for the red source. In addition to which, I think we've talked about how William is using his own extremely powerful regenerative capabilities as a tough, like, part Lycian. That William has been using those to like use the red source for pain on himself and like regenerate those injuries very quickly. So I think it's safe to say William has a pretty decent storage of sanguine mana stored.
And how efficient is using like my natural charisma buff? Is that pretty efficient? Is it just like a one? Like, am I able to stack this a couple of times? Is that like an option? Would I even know?
Which ability are you talking about? The red, like your blood magic capability for charm, or your Hearthlight aura?
Specifically charm.
Okay, yeah, because the Hearthlight aura is always on for you, and the charm is activated. So I will say it works like Barochemy from Mistborn, where the more you're using, it exponentially draws from it. So if you're ready to expend your sanguine mana right here, then it can be like intensely charming.
Okay, I'll do just like one over just to kind of test the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've ever had used this at this point. I just might know that I have the capabilities. But I will cast Charm and I'll be like, oh, we were actually looking for somebody along the way. We heard of some pretty poor news. We wanted to come and see if we couldn't help out. Any passing caravans. Specifically, it looks like you guys are pleasant enough. We'd like to help you guys out any way we can.
Okay. Yeah, just offering like help generally, or are you going to say something specific like you're about to go through a dangerous part of the woods like the Veilwold, and we'd love to like
saying
help guard you?
Yeah. We had recently been around there. Hey, we would like to either help guard you. Maybe we should take an extra day, help make sure you guys have the proper supplies, ready. This is going to be a dangerous part. Let's make sure you guys are set up and ready, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and roll that charm check with advantage, I'm going to say. 14 is very good. And even with the basic amount of resources that you're spending to get like what I'm going to call a +1 kind of bonus from the red source, and drawing what, now that you think about it, is actually very little of the mana that you've been storing. Like now that you can like feel it being drawn out, you realize I could keep this on for multiple days without completely running out of this. So the +1 is something you can pull out any dang time. And you find yourself wondering, like, how much more can I pull out at once? I know it's exponential, but if I only need it for like a brief interaction, how hard could I go? But either way, with this small amount and your Hearthlight aura, the pair at the head of the caravan look at each other like, oh, well, that's extremely kind of you. Like, we've been through a number of places, and there's always like solidarity between long distance travelers. But that's very kind for you to very specifically offer to help grant us like safe passage through this area because you know it really well. And what might sound like a sketchy request under normal non-magical means, like, we'd like to travel with you. We're just nice like that. Instead, assisted by
supernaturally, like kind. Like they're just like, yeah, these guys are genuine as heck.
Yeah, they immediately go, what an absolute bro. Absolutely. And for a brief moment, it actually even occurs to Alberth and Merigold, like, if you take that sentence out of context, that sounds insane. Is there something intrinsic about an angel's charisma? Like, if I think through things that Abulka Ashad has said, will they really be so bro-y out of context? And then you think about all the spears through Abulka Ashad's torso right now trying to heal people, and you're like, yeah, no, it's probably also like him. That's probably a factor, is his like supernatural charisma. But there's also a level of like, I wouldn't do that for strangers. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just angel things. But also in this case, sanguine magic things. So, they go, yeah, if you'd like to travel with us for a while, that sounds good. In the meantime, in the distance where you can see, but no member of the caravan can see, because they're all starting to like fold out chairs, Elway has like rolled out from a boulder, looks around, and has dropped, or has gotten to the other side of the place and is like signaling where Grayson is like army crawling up, and he flips upside down and like pulls himself under the covered wagon and is starting to like remove one of the planks and like reach up, and you guys are like, yeah, we'll travel with you. And they're like, well, fantastic, let's get going. And they start to like put the chairs back.
Oh, I'm gonna ask everybody, like, hey, I really want to meet everybody really quick. Do you mind just everybody come on over to me. Come on over here. I really would love just to meet you all and make just like a real quick connection before we start this life-changing travels together. I'm sure you're all just so wonderful. I can't wait to meet you all.
I have a quick question too. How, as they do this, can I keep hitting them with small, compelling discretions just to keep practicing as they introduce themselves?
I'm gonna need 2 rolls. First of all, from William being like, hey, no one look behind you. Focus on this 180 degrees. Look at me, please. I'd like to personally meet each and every one of you. I've just invited you to keep moving with me, but it's important that we meet while we're stationary. Roll me another check. You still get disadvantage because you're using some kick-ass bonuses on this. And then as you do that, Merigold, I'm gonna need a roll for 14. I want to say they're still rolling with it. They're like, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, I didn't roll that. Hold on.
Oh, that was your last roll. I see.
Nat 20, baby.
Nat 20. Yeah. They're absolutely. We'd love to meet you, the weird, charismatic stranger. You're so enigmatic. You're so tall. Tell me about that. In the meantime, Merigold, roll me another check to see how tightly you control this compel indiscretion. 14 is pretty good, and you finally managed to like tamp it down enough that like you point at the woman as she starts talking, and she is immediately like, this is my name, this is his name, this is her name, this is their name, and like goes through the whole thing, and all the caravan people are like clearly like they breathe in like they're going to introduce themselves, and she barrels right through them. But they actually look like they're used to it. Like, yeah, this is just kind of how she works sometimes. So apparently she was already pretty talkative to begin with. But she points around and she talks about their whole journey and how her husband had diarrhea for the last leg of it. Husband's like, bruh. She keeps talking about it. She tells you about the weird half of a druidic artifact you've got locked in there, and how she talked to the guy who was the mayor of the town that they were getting it from, and how he seemed really hesitant to hand it over, but apparently he had received a letter from the guy who like funds this caravan, the guy who's in charge of it, and he seemed really uncomfortable keeping it, and she kind of thought he was threatening him, and that makes sense because they all hate this lord. He's a real bummer of a guy, and they wish they didn't work for him, but it pays well, and them being caravaneers means they don't really have to talk to him very regularly, because they spend most of his time actually like away from the city. Anyways, they're bringing back this magical artifact, and the mayor talked about it and said that it gave druid powers to people who weren't druids when it was put together, that it gave them something called a wild boon whether or not they were druids, and if you wear the little circlet, then it can give you druid powers, so it's actually more useful to you if you're not a druid, and all of this stuff, and she's barreling on it. You think about asking her, like, hey, what wild boon in specific? But if she knew, she would have mentioned it, because it is blistering the output. And but she's like able to breathe. She's well, and she doesn't seem to recognize that something is like happening to her. So it's with that roll, it was a decent use of the spell that wasn't traumatic.
Nice.
Excellently done.
Cool, I have a non-combat version.
Yeah.
Also, we're hunting a druidic honor blade.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep. Only one wild boon though, not a whole druid's worth, depending on the druid. But yeah. After she finally slows down, her husband's like, right, well, I'm the shit guy. Apparently everyone knows. He's very upset about it.
Has my spell recharged fast enough to try it again on him as he goes?
Yeah, that rant
took
long enough. You can cast that if you want.
I do not want to hear about this man shitting, okay?
I only got a 7 this time.
You're just frantically gonna be grabbing his shit.
I'm just gonna have to say, this time you undershoot it. You're still figuring out the thing, and he doesn't share very much at all. And you think like, oh, this dial does go down to 1. I wasn't sure anymore. I thought it might start at 7 or so. But no, yeah, it is a full range, and you can overshoot it. That's possible. But yeah, he finishes talking.
Just keep in mind,
quickly.
next time I have a chance to do it, I'll do it. But continue on with the narration.
The introductions take so long. In the meantime, you guys learn a great deal of unnecessary information about this group. None of them wants to work for this lord. They're not big fans. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and have Grayson roll a thievery check, and Grayson's a great thief. I'm gonna say you get advantage on this roll. We're handing out advantage all over the place today, and I'm all right with that. Another nat 20 means that Grayson pops this floorboard down, goes immediately half circle it. Sweet. He just keeps grabbing stuff. They got a crazy amount of like odds and ends that they just grab. You're not sure how much of this was for like the lord that they were that they're here for, but he just keeps grabbing them. Eventually he looks at you guys, and this is like halfway through the woman's rant, and he's like, I've already got all their shit. And so he shrugs and like pulls himself up through the 2 floorboard gap, and you guys don't hear anything. He's absolutely silent. But soon he comes back down. The covered wagon consists of like a soft interior and a weatherproof exterior, and he has pulled off the soft interior, wrapped everything up in it like a knapsack, and he jimmies out, pops up just like not even behind the caravan, just on the side of it, shakes the thing in the air, gives you a thumbs up, and just walks to the tree line because they're so enraptured in this conversation. And Elway like walks back to the tree line like, I don't get to do fucking anything. Okay, yeah, it's Grayson Day. It's Grayson Day all day.
I'm dying over here, dude. I'm dying.
Eventually, the people have all introduced themselves. Elway and Grayson have walked back up like, hey, we're part of this group. We were just off foraging for supplies. What's up, everybody? You just have all their stuff.
Can I double? I'm going to double my charm. I'm going to double it down again. And I'm going to be
Handsome
like...
Squidward is what I'm seeing in my mind right now.
his chin as he uses it.
I'm gonna look like that superhero from the Fairly Odd Parents.
The Crimson Chin.
Chin. Powerful.
It makes sense, dude.
Yeah.
It's red magic. So I'm gonna double it down again, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I just remembered. You guys shouldn't go down that canyon at all." And then I'm gonna leave.
Hard sell to this group that's just all introduced themselves to you. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how they react to that, because you will never see them again. So having robbed these people blind, you're just like, hey, you just shouldn't do this anyways. Goodbye forever. And they're like, wait, our strange, charismatic friends that we just got to know so well. Did we do all the talking? What's everyone's names? Wait.
Can I offer like an alternate trail that will get them there faster instead? Like, hey, actually, this place is like 10 times faster, even if it's a detour by like any reasonable means. Like, it's obviously not going to take them the right way, but they should definitely go that way instead.
Yeah, that sounds good. You tell them a certain route that basically leads to one podunk town that's in this sunken valley and is just a dead end. So it'll just delay them for a full day as they do this, and then they'll just have to go back to the route anyways.
Perfect.
And so the itinerary will be wrong, and maybe the Emerald Bandits just won't even... We'll just get there to an empty road, and we'll be waiting all day. Or they'll get there and you'll sabotage them. But it's getting pretty late. So we'll have to find out next time what happens with the Emerald Bandits, and whether you guys get the other half of this strange druidic magic circlet that now you might actually know what it does. You made some great friends, betrayed their trust, stole all their stuff. It's a classic session of Dungeons and Dragons all around.
Yeah.
Great game. Thank you, players, for playing so well and so entertainingly. Thank you, audience, for coming, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.